It is the year 680 AD. We are in the arid, sun-baked desert of Karbala, in modern-day Iraq. Two completely mismatched groups have reached a tense, unbreakable standoff. This visualization shows exactly what the defending camp was up against. On the outside, an imperial army of roughly 100,000 heavily armed soldiers. Surrounded in the center, a group of just 72 people. Leading those 72 people was Imam Hussein, the grandson of the Prophet Muhammad. He was heavily outnumbered. His camp included women and young children, and he was ordered to surrender to the empire. He flatly refused. Preparing for an assault they could not possibly win, Hussein's followers dug a massive trench behind their tents, filled it with loose wood, and ignited it to block the army from attacking their rear. This lopsided clash, 72 people against an empire, would become the defining tragedy of the Islamic world, setting in motion a divide that would eventually span continents.
To understand why Hussein chose to stand his ground here, we have to go back 48 years. In 632 AD, the Prophet Muhammad died. He left behind a rapidly expanding community, but no clear, universally accepted plan for who should lead it next. That vacuum immediately forced his followers to choose between two different paths. Looking at this logic tree, we can map out the first major philosophy. This group believed the community should choose their next leader based on consensus and capability, looking beyond the Prophet's immediate family. This faction would eventually be known as Sunni Muslims. Now follow the alternate branch. This group believed leadership belonged to the Prophet's family. They specifically pointed to Ali, the Prophet's cousin and son-in-law, as the rightful successor. This group became known as Shia Muslims. The first group initially held the political advantage. Abu Bakr was selected as the first caliph, followed by two more leaders, Umar and Uthman, before Ali finally took office in 656 AD. Ali's reign was marked by intense internal conflict. He faced a series of civil wars, known as fitnas, as rival governors challenged his authority. These wars continued until 661 AD, when Ali was assassinated. Ali's death ended the era of the first four caliphs. With the central leadership in ruins, the Umayyad family seized the opportunity to move the seat of power and convert the caliphate into a hereditary monarchy. To prevent more civil war, Ali's eldest son, Hassan, signed a treaty with the Umayyad governor Muawiyah. Hassan would step down on the condition that Muawiyah will justly, and crucially, never name a royal successor. That peace lasted until 676 AD, when Muawiyah broke the agreement. He named his son Yazid as the next caliph. Yazid was widely viewed as a violent and corrupt ruler. To secure his grip on power, he demanded that all prominent figures swear an oath of loyalty to him. But Hussein, the Prophet's grandson, refused to legitimize a leader he considered a tyrant. As this map shows, Hussein left Mecca and headed toward the city of Kufa in Iraq. He was responding to thousands of letters from Kufa's citizens who promised to support him in a rebellion against Yazid's rule. But Yazid acted first. His military commander arrived in Kufa and used public executions and threats of violence to crush the dissent. By the time Hussein reached Iraq, the citizens who had invited him were too terrified to act. Without reinforcements, Hussein's small caravan was left isolated. They were intercepted by imperial forces and forced into a barren plain near the Euphrates River, Karbala. This brings us back to the standoff in the blistering heat of the Islamic month of Muharram. At this point, Hussein's 72 followers were now completely cornered. Yazid's commander initiated a suffocating siege tactic. He deployed 500 soldiers to completely block access to the Euphrates River. In the middle of the desert, Hussein, his companions, and the small children in his camp were plunged into agonizing dehydration for days. On the 10th day of Muharram, the imperial army finally attacked. Thirsty and completely exhausted, Hussein's followers fought back. His brothers, his sons, and his closest companions were killed one by one in the sand. The battle ended in total military defeat for Hussein. He was killed and beheaded. Yazid's army looted the camp and took the surviving women and children as prisoners to Damascus, displaying Hussein's head to the public as a warning.
But Yazid's display of force backfired. The news of the Prophet's grandson being killed and his family being humiliated caused widespread outrage. Instead of securing Yazid's rule, the massacre at Karbala triggered a series of uprisings that would eventually bring down the Umayyad dynasty. The massacre transformed a political dispute into a profound shared grievance. In the decades and centuries that followed, this grief became the foundation of a separate religious tradition. Shia and Sunni communities began to develop their own distinct laws, rituals, and histories, centering on how they remembered the events of this day. Today, the 10th of Muharram, known as Ashura, is a day of intense mourning for millions. These dense crowds gather every year to carry flags and reenact the stories of the 72 people who died in the desert. While Yazid's army held the field at Karbala, Hussein's refusal to yield survived as a blueprint for resistance. His name remains a rallying cry for those who believe that the cost of defying a tyrant is lower than the price of serving one.